Don't fight the Fed is an old Wall Street saying, and it's definitely applies to today's market. Also, as another one, the trend is your friend. And with the indexes in a power trend, that applies as well. So we don't want to fight the Fed, we don't want to fight the market, and we definitely want to play the trends when the trends are our friends. We can see on the Nasdaq today was up 259 points, 1.45%, with 2% above the average 50-day volume here. And it just has been kind of going sideways here since this rally from 668. It rallied up to 18. Excuse me. Let me back up here. We had this 16% correction, and then the rally up to 18,017, then the pullback. The pullback was bought, and we've been in this power trend here. But the Nasdaq is not the leading index. It's still, off its highs, but it is making progress. It is in a power trend. And if you just, you can see it's kind of choppy in here, but if you just hold, if you're able to hold your positions, the rotation will come and lift your stock up eventually. And that's why I believe the shotgun approach is kind of working right now. We saw rotation out of China names and into technology today and in insurance and other sectors. But yeah, the Nasdaq, not the leading index, but in a power trend and performing well. The S&P 500 is doing much better. This one is 3.4% above its 50, a half a percent above its 10, 1.2% above the 21. The S&P is looking much stronger, and so is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And this one just pulled back. Looks like it had an inside day today, up 126 points or 0.3%. So NASDAQ was the leading index today. And then the Russell, I'm bringing up the rear here, just, right at its 21 there. You can see it closed right at the 21. So I'm going to go back to the NASDAQ. We know what drives the NASDAQ, those mega cap tech stocks. When they are doing well, the NASDAQ is doing well. And anyway, today it closed 3.9% above its 50, 1.7% above its 21, and now it's 0.8% above the 10. So it's just trending in the right direction, even though it's been a little choppy here. It did make that recent high of 18,327, but it needs to take out the 671, 18,671. And I believe if we stay in this trend, we'll be able to do that. So what is driving the NASDAQ? Well, Apple's been choppy as well, due to the, conflicting reports on their, iPhone release, their iPhone sales. And we're not going to know about that till at least Halloween, when they hopefully give us some information on the sales of their iPhone. But, just bounced off its 50 today, 1.3% above its 50. Microsoft was downgraded today, and it handled the downgrade well. And this is a real positive sign for me. When a stock gets downgraded and still goes up, maybe the selling's all done, right? Problem with Microsoft is trading below its 50, below its 200, below its shorter term moving averages as well. So it's got some work to do to power through those moving averages. Meta, I believe, is the strongest of the mega cap, Magnificent Seven or whatever. Yesterday it traded above 602. That provided a little resistance, that 600 number, and it just pulled back today. And you can see it had a nice quiet inside day today. So it's got to power through that 600 level, and I believe it will in time. Tesla was pulled back to the 21 and found support there. So if you own Tesla, that's what you want to see. Just nice cup with handle, nice little shakeout going on here. That looks pretty good. Amazon was downgraded yesterday. A little bit of selling here, but still above the 50. Amazon just consolidating within a base. And then Google has been pretty strong recently. Just pulled back today to its 21. That looks fine. And then NVIDIA, put NVIDIA on the ready list today because it broke above this downtrend line. We know when NVIDIA moves, it really moves. So, if you can get a leading stock, we want to own leading stocks and leading sectors. And this is definitely a leading stock here. See, it broke above the downtrending line on Monday and then powered higher today, 4%. So, it's still consolidating within a base, still trading kind of tight. You can see this pullback to the 50, and now it's popped the last, 4 sessions, 4 or 5 sessions in there. Yeah, 5 sessions. But we know when NVIDIA moves, it can really, move like that kind of a move, and then that kind of a move. So yeah, NVIDIA, NVIDIA when it moves can really move. So you don't want to miss out on that move, and it's definitely a leading stock in a top space in the AI game. So yeah, Broadcom's another one that I have on my ready list, and I like this one. Just it's still consolidating within a base, hasn't broken out yet, though it's got a couple of areas of interest, 177.10, and now it's trading above those. Now it's above 180, and that standard buy point would be 185.16. So nice consolidation here. If you take a look at Broadcom on the weekly, and they've got they're benefiting from AI. You can see the earnings line heading north, the stock gradually heading north. So get it in the base before it breaks out, right? AMD looks to me, a lot similar to NVIDIA in that it, trading above its downtrending line. So if it breaks that downtrend, maybe we got something here. What was that, last Friday when it did that? And then Monday followed through. So it's been up 5 days in a row as well. So yeah, 1% move today, but maybe a sign of things to come. And that is, a good length of time to consolidate here for AMD. And so we'll see if it can get back above this level. First of all, the 187 level. It's got to trade above that. And then 227. And AMD can do it. Just got to report a strong earnings here on the 29th. It's all coming up here. Earnings are going to tell the tale. And then ARM. ARM is another one in this group. Setting up with this cup with handle. I don't know if that's a big enough shakeout, really. I don't think that's going to shake out people. We'll see. It's been up 4 or 5 days in a row as well on light volume. So this is kind of, a bear wedge, wedging higher in light volume. This thing needs to power higher and break out of that cup with handle pattern. There you can see that buy point around 149. So I'm watching ARM. All right. So I mentioned, these are the leading stocks today and doing well. And it was a result of the China names being sold. Finally, these China names sold. This is what happens when you go straight up like that. You have a nice break. 13%. You don't want to wake up to 13% loss. It was even greater. It was like 20%. There you can see the opening. I mean, you're done, right? If you hold overnight and you open up like that, you just got to hope for some buyers to come in. And they did a little bit. I mean, it traded down to I think the 102. I can stay here on the 5-minute chart here. Yeah, 102. Yeah, traded down to 102. Closed at 112. So it's a nice little bounce there, but still, that's a pretty tough 13% loss. TIGR, another financial name, down to 16%. BABA, not as big a percentage loss, but um, BABA, BABA, Marty. Yeah, 6%. It didn't have the big increase, like the other ones do, percentage wise. So JD was down as well. These ones just all sold off today. Just profit taking. They've had big moves, BEKE, and then the ETFs, FXI, and then yen. This is the the 3 times the China 50 index. What goes up fast comes down fast. A nice 30% haircut today. So anyway, that was being sold. The China names were being sold. Some of the tech names were being bought, and actually some of the insurance names were being bought. This is Bro, keeps getting support at the 50, keeps pulling back here to its 50 and finding support. You don't want to test that 50 too many times. This thing needs to power up above that 106.02 level here very soon and get away from that 50. AJG, this is Gallagher. An insurance broker, I mentioned it recently, I would undercut the 50. Now it rallied up to it and then powered higher today. So that's what you want to see. You got to drive through quickly with power, and you don't want to just lollygag around. That level AON, another insurance name, and I don't know if this is connected to the disasters in Florida, impending disaster. But this one had 3 weeks tight a couple of times, right? 3 weeks tight, 3 weeks tight. That's like 5 weeks tight, actually, isn't it? Yeah, 5 weeks tight. And then pop this week. So, it looks pretty good for AON, made a new high today. Okay, so insurance, maybe that doesn't get you excited, but there is rotation into the software names. This is APP. I talk about owning leading stocks. And, I want to own leading stocks. So if, NVIDIA, you can ride them until they falter, right? And this one hasn't faltered yet, but this is definitely leading stock in the software group. This thing just looks like it wants to trade higher and higher and higher. But eventually it'll pull back. That's app 11. PLTR is Palantir, another leading stock in the software group. Just powering higher. You got to look at the weekly here. This thing IPO'd back in 2020, ripped higher, made a high around 45, I want to say, and then sold off with the bear market. Yeah, 45. So it's getting back to that level. Palantir looks fantastic. CVLT, this is one that I was going to put on my ready list and I didn't. And you can see why, because it's trading tight within a base. First of all, it's shown the ability to make big moves, right? I mean, this is a big move here. Goes sideways, makes this nice big move here, goes sideways. Now it's in this base here, trading tight within a base, pulling back to a moving average, and today pop. I've talked about this a lot recently, how we're seeing these little wedge patterns to the 21 and then popping. Today it popped nearly 5%, but I didn't put it on the ready list. I put a couple of oil and gas stocks on because I think they're going to do well this week. CVLT was a strong DOCU DocuSign. I haven't mentioned this one in a long, long time. Definitely breaking out of a stage one base here yeah, on news, but you could see that old base. If you're one of these Darvis guys, you could say, yeah, this one's breaking out of this stage one base. So that's a good sign. So maybe good things for DocuSign in the future. This thing was up 300, I don't know, $50 stock not all that long ago. But yeah, breaking out with volume today. So congrats to DocuSign. Palo Alto Networks, another a cybersecurity name, software name, breaking above this downtrend line here today. So yeah, 5% move. That one looks pretty good. Just still consolidating within a base is Palo Alto Networks. ZETA is another one of my favorites here. Why? It's just surfing its moving averages like Kelly Slater, getting support. Now it's at the 10, getting support, bouncing off the 10. Nothing to do but counter money there. So that is a Kelly Slater name. And then GoDaddy has given us a chance here in this little base, short, flat base, short period of time, looking at probably 5 or 6 weeks here. It undercut the 50, rallied back up to 161, then undercut the 50 again, and now rallied right back to that level. I kind of like that one. If I go here, it'll give me the yeah, only 6 weeks in this base here. And the standard buy point there would be the high there, the 167. I wouldn't wait for that, even though it's already at 160. But this one within the base, it's breaking above its downtrending line here today. So I think GoDaddy's a buy there. It's a go. GoDaddy's a go at 161.50. It can get above that level. Yeah. So GoDaddy will be on our ready list too. It's a software name that I really like. And so GoDaddy at 161.50 is a go. All right, I think that's the last one of these software names. I got to move along here. A lot to get to. One of the things is the drug stocks, the rotation in drug stocks today out of the China names. This one, I've been talking about this little base or shelf pattern, if you will, as it trends along its 10, this green line here. And as long as it's above the 10 and the 10's moving like that, you're going to make money. It doesn't take you very long to make a few bucks. 21 after hours. So ADMA breaking out today with some decent volume. Nearly a 3% move. So I'm looking for that one to follow through tomorrow. There's a bunch of names here that we're doing well in the biotech group today. This is CAPR. It was only up 6.8% today. Inside day closed near the lower range, lower quartile of its daily range. It looks like 34%. So the lower, half of its lower third of its daily range there, 34%. It was at 2147, closed at 1933. And even though it had that big range, it's still an inside day. And probably going to see this one do something like this. Just for the time being, just bear with me. Eventually, I believe this one's going to blast higher and take out that old high from last, was it Friday, 2198? I think that's a pretty good bet. And then PTCT making new highs above the old 4069. That's the buy point. It closed right around that level. 16% move with volume. That's a move not to be ignored, Dan. So yeah, that's looking pretty good there. Stage 2 base. You see the blue dot, which indicates the RS strength. So the RS line going through the moving averages. That one looks pretty darn good. PTCT. Another tech stock was in the news, WGS. I have no idea what these guys do, but obviously, big volume coming in here, here. Somebody likes this stock. It's just, heading due north. We could take a look at the weekly, and man, just off the bottom, this thing's just been on fire. So that's why people gravitate towards the biotech stocks, is because they move like that. Very small cap, 1.4 billion. So, and not a lot of shares in the float. So they move 11.9 million shares in the float. So that's how they're able to move so rapidly. A lot of the biotech stocks are like that. All right. I'm going to move on because I have to mention, the cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum and the cryptocurrency itself was not very strong today, but MicroStrategy doesn't care. It's just forming this base here. Once again, breaking above this downtrending line here. Last, Friday or Monday, yesterday, and followed through today. So that looks pretty good, but it's got that buy point at 200. I don't know if the 200 level is going to provide resistance or not, or maybe just blow through it like poop through a goose. We'll have to see. Very interested in MSTR. Hood is another one. HOOD, Robin Hood. And this is another one that just, broke out today. Nice 9.8%, 10% move, if you will. 2488 was the buy point. Still, actionable there. I would say it's not too crazy. Yeah, it's just here. It's been a long time here, breaking out of that level. So anyway, Robinhood looks good. Those are the only two I'm going to show from the crypto names. It was not a lot of great things going on there. All right, I got to get to that restaurant group. CAVA. This is one that I've been mentioning recently. That 110 area that it broke out, and the low was 110 on that. I think that's the earnings release. The low was 110, then it got downgraded. It was in the news, and it tested that 110 at 110.30 on August 30th, 110.34 on September 3, 110.31 on September 4, and they couldn't push it below the 110 level. And so that told me, if it can't go down and get in that gap area, if it can't get in this gap area, well, guess what? It's probably going to go the other way. I showed you Micron, how it gapped up and got in the gap area, and it's kind of messy. And this one went the other way, higher lows, higher highs, nice channel, pulled back to the 21. This is textbook stuff. And then, popped, found support and popped on the 21. So 21, in a bull market is like, it's like your little magic boundary there. Nice little guardrail. If it slices to 21, it's kind of like, probably don't want it. But if it finds support and bounces, leading stocks are going to do that, right? CAVA is a leading stock in the retail group. I keep referring to these leading stocks. ADMA in the drug sector, AAPL and Palantir in the software names, Bro in insurance, NVDA, of course, and CAVA is one in the restaurant group, and so is Sweet Greens. Sweet Greens pull back. It's got this cup with handle. Let's go to the weekly here. Because it's got this base, kind of an abbreviated base because it came straight up off the lows and then formed another base after this shakeout, formed another base. So I think this is more of a legit base here, this second one on Sweet Greens with that buy area 37.79. So I like Sweet Greens as well at 37.79. Obviously, it popped today, so you don't want to buy something extended from its 10. I got the ADMA there, 7.6%. I changed the ADMA because I was looking at another stock, which I'll get to in a little bit. But let's go to the 10 here and see. It's 8% above its 10 EMA, so getting a little hot there, but that is a legitimate buy point, I think, and eventually it's going to take out that old 38.53 high. Just give Sweet Green some time. Shake Shack, I don't know why I wrote down Shake Shack. It's not a stock that I own. It's definitely a strong stock within the retail group. Oh man, look at that cup with handle pattern. There it is, cup with handle. Earnings, straight due north. They do have the earnings, sales growth, cup with handle pattern, pulling right up to that high in the handle, 111.17 area. So that's another one that I'd be interested in buying there. This looks like it might have just been an inside day today. Yeah, inside day. So uh, very interested in Shake Shack too. So Sweet Greens and Shake Shack look pretty darn good to me. And the last one I want to show you in this group is Brinker. This is Maggiano Chili's group. This guy had a cup with handle. There's your shake out to the 21, which you guys are probably sick of me talking about this. But it pulls back to the 21, then breaks out, pulls back to the 10, and resumes its uptrend. So very strong stock in the retail restaurant group. All right, that's it for that group. I know there's a lot of others that you guys like and I should get to, but I'm not going to. Let me see, except for I do, I lied. I got to go to Wingstop. Another one that I like, it's got to be above 400 though. This one pulled back to its 50, had an inside day today, so definitely one to watch with the others doing so well. All right, I got to go to the medical product stocks, the medical research. This is NTRA. Once again, this one broke out and then recently just pulled back, this little bull wedge pattern, pulled back to the 21, found support. Now it's just making higher lows. So NTRA looks fantastic. I think it made a higher high today, 132.01. Yeah, it definitely traded above that. I remember watching, yeah, 133.54. So a new high for NTRA. CDNA, this is one that I do have on the ready list because this one is trading within a base here. You can see, first of all, any stock has got to show the ability to move. They can't just go sideways. Oh, it's in a base, sideways. Well, yeah, if it's 5 years in a base, not going to do any good. So this one ran up, consolidated, ran up. Nice run there from 13 to 34. And now it's forming this little cup-shaped pattern. Obviously those momentum players, the Darvish players like a 34, 84 number, but I kind of like it trading tight within the base, pulling back, to its 10 here and finding support. You can see consistently, higher lows here, higher low, higher low, higher low as we go, higher low as we go, and then got to get above this, higher high right here, and then eventually the 34.84. So I'm curious, what is that high there? This is from last week, 32.97. That would be an area of interest if you were, looking to buy the same 32.97. I would want in before that. You can see that consolidation there, and it's a later stage base. You can see the base base. So it's getting to be a later stage base, but definitely one that I would entertain. I kind of like CDNA. Got the decent gross numbers. And TMDX. TMDX trading kind of weird here. Don't really like this action, to be honest. I mean, it sliced its 50, then rallied back, which is good. This is great. Got up to 169 and then sold off again. So we don't like that. It kind of rallied up, little peekaboo above the 50 and then slam. So if you tried to get aggressive and buy this, rally above the 50, you got slammed there. Good percentage. And that's why you kind of have to wait and make sure there's confirmation. Yeah, traded up to 160. And then today the low was 132. So that's not fun. You can see it's just consolidating within a base here. And this will probably eventually be a double bottom as this 132.54 is below the 133.36. So let's see if this thing can power higher. Definitely a quality stock. SLNO, SLNO Therapeutics, medical product stock. Got to be honest, don't know anything about it. I just know that it was up on volume. As you can see, this massive volume. Closing at the lower end of its range, which I don't like. 25% of the daily range, that's a lower quartile. So very suspect move there. All right, I'm going to move on because I can't go a day without going to retail. Carvana, you guys buying these cars at 190 today? Man, what a move. You can see this base here. There's your base. And it had many pullbacks along the way here. After the breakout, the pullback here, undercut the 50, rallied, pull back to the 10, and now it's just blasting higher as the indexes have healed and gotten to power trends. This one is a leading stock. Definitely making a new high today at 191. All right, 52-week high. It's been a lot higher than that. Maple Bear, cute little name. This CART is their ticker symbol. But there's no denying this, this is kind of like a institutional due diligence, and now it looks like it's hitting its advanced phase here. Don't like the earnings, line going like that, but this one broke out. This one broke out of a base here, and maybe the earnings are coming later on, but definitely that 39.59 broke above that, pulled back, and then made a new high today. So that one looks pretty darn good. On Holdings, this is a leader in the shoe group. Crocs has been sucking, excuse my French, and then Deckers got downgraded, handled it okay, but this is On Holding, and stop me if you've heard this before, but it continues to find support. It was a nice wedge to the 21, traded up to that high of 52, made this little wedge pattern back to the 21, found support and bounced higher. Made a new all-time high today, I believe. All-time high? No, not all-time high. 52-week high. What is the all-time high for On Holdings? 55.87. So definitely has that in its sight. So broke out of this stage 2 base, and this looks fantastic. And definitely a leader in this shoe group. I mentioned Deckers, so I should show you Deckers. Just that it got downgraded, pulled back to the 50, had an inside day today, up 2%, just making up for a lost time yesterday. And then Crocs, wedging back to its 50, not looking all that great. Is it rallied through the 50? Undercut it. Rallied through the 50? Now undercut it. So Crocs is kind of a laggard in the group. Anyway, one more name that I have to mention, eBay, one of my old faves from the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. eBay, when this thing came out, everybody's making money on eBay. Not only the site selling their wares, but the stock, phenomenal stock. This one broke out and is just making new highs. Surfing the 10 here. So there's, you got to like that from an old winner there. There's your cup with handle pattern, ran up, then had this little flat base, and now it's just cruising. Little 3 week sight there, and adios muchachos. Let me take a look at the monthly or see if it goes back. It doesn't go back far enough to back in the day when I was trading it, but okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to stop right there and say thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. In honor of the great Steve Jobs, I have to talk about one more thing, and that's power for the AI. I talked about the software names in AI and the the hardware and the the NVIDIAs and the semiconductors, but we're going to need power. And I know the Biden administration is talking about nuclear power, and that fits right into the CEG, the Constellation Microsoft deal that we just got done recently, which propelled Constellation Energy here. This is the day, I believe it was a Friday, the 20th. I know that because I was out doing something and I said, wow, that's a big move. 22% move, and it's just trading higher, and it formed this little shelf, kind of allowed the this is why I was fooling around with the moving averages, because these things are so strong. I don't expect them to come back to the 10. They're just pulling back to the 5, maybe pulling back to the 8. And that's where they're finding support. So there's Constellation. Right here, you can see it made this move higher on that news with Microsoft, and it just pulled back, formed a little shelf, allowed the 8 to catch up, ran higher, then pulled back, and probably allow the 8 to catch up again, maybe a little bit of a shelf. So we're going to need power, and these power companies, this is alternative energy. And then the GE Vernova is in the same alternative energy group. It's a number 2 group. These stocks are wanted and they're desired. How about that? And institutions are buying them. This is GEV, and this one broke out. Obviously made a massive move, pulled back to its 8. It'll, have this little shelf pattern, allowed the 8 to catch up, and then what happened? Then it popped. That's why you just got to be patient. I wouldn't recommend buying it up here, but maybe if it comes back to the 8, buy it off a moving average. Because I don't know, if you're like me, if you buy something, it starts going lower and lower, even though it's going sideways, like, oh my God, I'm underwater. I could buy something else. So I get impatient that way. That's one of my flaws in trading. I need to be more patient, but just wait for the moving averages to catch up, and to use the shotgun approach of, having an NVIDIA and an Apple 11 or an ADMA or, CAVA. You can afford, one of these days, the rotation's going to come back to these, and it certainly has. These things have been on fire, and that one looks good. TLN, this is in the utility electric power group. Still the power names, but not quite as strong a group. It's still a very strong group. And what did this thing do? It just ran up, went sideways, and now allowed the moving averages to catch up. I like this thing right here at the 8. 177. Let me get this exact number here. 180.24 is the 8. So the high today was 182. I like that name as well. And of course, the Quanta Services. This one broke out, pulled back, formed a shelf again. These things aren't, these things are so strong. They're not pulling back to their 21 and forming those bull wedge patterns. They're just forming these little shelves as the moving averages catch up and then moving higher. So the Quanta is super strong. Sterling's another name that I like. And this one broke out, pulled back. Remember, I'm on the 8 now, not on the 10. And this is pulled back to the 8. Now it's popped. It's going to take out that 152. I think it might have even done that today, right? Yeah. So it made a new high today. So these things are super strong, folks. And the last one I wanted to show you is VST, because this is one that I know a lot of speculators and a lot of investors want to own this. How do I know that? Well, I just got to look at, well, first of all, Druckenmiller's been talking about it a lot, and a lot of sheep like to follow what Stan's buying. But you can just tell these big blue bars, and this is big volume. These are institutions buying this stock. And it's pulled back this week, nicely, almost 8%, 11% off of its high, but it's still, above the 8. So I think this thing's probably trading around the 5. Maybe tomorrow, they could have this third day of selling. You can see on Monday you had big profit taking. Tuesday, the selling's starting to abate here a little bit. So maybe Wednesday you get a pull back to the 8 and then a bounce, or maybe it'll go sideways. I thought that, once it traded through that pivot point of 107.24, pivot, through the pivot with that power, it would make a 20 to 25% move, and it did a little better than that. But if this thing wants to just, form a shelf pattern around, 125, 135, I'm okay with that. Allow the moving averages to catch up. If you're not in it, then you want to see this action. If you own it, you're going, oh shoot, I could have sold it, 140 on Monday, and then it reversed. What was it, 140, 143, and now, gosh, the low today was 127. So you're obviously, I just showed you, it was 11 points, 11% off its high. So this is one that I sold, but I want back in. So I'm just gonna wait for a signal, a sign, and maybe it'll form a flat base. Maybe I have to wait a couple of weeks, but that's okay. It's just something that I'll watch. And there's obviously other things you can buy in the group, that I showed you earlier. There's a lot of to choose from, but I'm not going to show you anymore. I'm just going to stop right there and say thank you for watching. And you folks out there in the Tampa area, Florida, Hurricane Milton is descending, so stay safe out there. We're thinking about you. And at mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. Thank you for watching.